We've reached the point where we can have our lunch and learn, and we're fortunate to have Jessica Chapman, our Wildlife Subcommittee co-chair, to introduce our speaker.
Everyone, my name is Jessica Chapman. I am so pleased to to introduce Tania Delgado Diaz. She and I work extensively together with the task force, and actually Amanda Collazo is also part of the task force. So it's quite a collegiate meeting today. I will defer to Tania to introduce herself, but she's just an incredible attorney in Puerto Rico who does really amazing things with Vínculo Animal, and is working on several different cases that have really either have or are in process of improving the lives of many different animals there. So Tania, I'll give it to you.
Thank you so much. One second, let me know. Okay, now we're ready. Yes, my name is Tania Delgado. Thank you, Jessica, and all of you guys for the invitation and your time. I'm a lawyer. I'm also a member of Vínculo Animal Puerto Rico, and I'm going to walk you through the legal strategy we use that led to the permanent close of the biggest Puerto Rico zoo. The title of my talk is Legal Moves That Close Puerto Rico's Zoo, Legal Action, Transparency, and Federal Pressure. First of all, I want to say that Vínculo Animal Puerto Rico was founded in 2018 and is a nonprofit organization based in Puerto Rico. And we are committed to ending the cruelty against animals and defending the rights of non-human beings. One of our main missions is to hold the government accountable and monitor compliance with animal welfare laws, both in public and private sectors. So for the introduction, the biggest zoo in Puerto Rico closed in 2023, but this closure wasn't a spontaneous event nor a political decision. It was a result of years of coordinated legal works by lawyers, advocates, and organizations. Today, I will show you how transparency, litigation, constitutional rights, and federal complaints hold a government agency accountable and shut down an institution that had long failed its legal duty of care. So this is a video of the organizations, and right in front of the zoo, what you can see the other side of this gate of this was the zoo, what was the zoo, and this is part of our organizations with other people that also were wanted the zoo in that time. This was taken in 2021. So a real brief story of the zoo. This was well known as the Mayagüez Zoo, official name of Dr. Juanja Rivero Zoo, and it opened in 1944, and it was a collection of animals used for educational purposes and managed by the University of Puerto Rico. Over the years, the administration of the zoo changed multiple times and eventually landing under the Department of Natural Environmental Resources, in Spanish, the acronym well known as the DRNA. The zoo deteriorated over time, and it's no secret that Puerto Rico is undergoing a financial crisis. And two major events accelerated the zoo collapse. Those were Hurricanes Irma and Maria that happened in 2017, and there were few days difference. Irma passed in September 6th and Maria September 20 of the same year. Since then, the zoo was closed to the public. But what was the problem? That the animals stayed there, even the zoo were closed. I didn't really want to add animals and bad treatment animals and photos, but here, this is a zoo visit that happened in 2021, and you can see that even years after their hurricanes, the zoo were in really bad conditions. This is just an example, and nobody really was taking care of it, and the animals stay there. So so this wasn't an operated zoo because there were no receiving public, but it had animals. So which legal things we use? So first we have the law 154 from 2008, and this is the Animal Welfare Act in Puerto Rico. So this statute established that the DRNA were the agency and the legal guardian of the animals that were in the zoo. So this statute required to provide the animals the basics. For example, the veterinary care, proper housing, food, sanitation, and this statute doesn't really care about the species of the animal. So all the animals in the zoo were protected under this law. And over time, it became clear that the DRNA were failing into this responsibility. And one of the problems was that the zoo were close to the public, so we didn't have the access to the animals. So we had to find some other ways to find this evidence. So we use our Puerto Rico's equivalent law, local FOIA, and it's our own versions of the Freedom of Information Act. So we have this law, Law 141 of 2019, and it's like the US Freedom of Information Act, and it grants the public access to government records. The key difference is that in Puerto Rico, the access to and the right of public information is a constitutional right. So the agencies, as the DRNA, had the legal duty to respond our request to information, and the courts take non-compliance really seriously. So starting in 2020, Vínculo Animal submitted several records requests related to the zoo. We asked a lot of things, as for example, the animal census. We asked for the veterinary care, the medical records, administrative records. And what we found or didn't find was alarming. So, for example, the first case was submitted at the court of first instance. The DRNA had to admit that there were no animal census from 2018 to 2019. There were not complete vet records. Even though there was 2 major hurricanes hit, there was still, after years of that, no emergency plans whatsoever. And more of that, we found that they were doing euthanasia to healthy animals, that they were using expired drugs for euthanasia, that they were feeding animals with the remains of euthanized animals. They were lacking of licensed veterinary staff. And moreover, what we found was even worse what we thought, and there wasn't just poor administration. It was a systematic neglect and legal failure of a whole animal protection law. So with all this information, years after gathering all this evidence, we filed formal complaints with the USDA, with the U.S. Department of Justice, and also with Puerto Rican Department of Justice. We also train and encourage all our supporters to submit individual complaints directly through the USDA websites using all the evidence we gather. And with all that, the federal agencies and the local prosecutor couldn't turn their faces, for sure. And they started and launched their own investigations based on the evidence we presented them. This concluded in the DOJ settlement agreement. In February 2023, the U.S. Department of Justice reached a settlement agreement with the government of Puerto Rico, so with the agency DRNA, and with the Puerto Rico Department of Justice. In these 13 agreement pages, they found and concluded that the DRNA violated the Endangered Species Act, the Animal Welfare Act, the Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act, the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, and the local welfare animal like the law of 154. So they really weren't complying with virtually any animal protection law, either federal or local law. So they require to the DNA to permanent closure of the zoo, and they had to relocate all the animals within 6 months. This was for sure a legal victory and the result of years of advocacy and litigation. But however, this settlement included a full civil and criminal immunity to all the DNA officials and contractual involved in all of this. So this means that no one was held legal accountable for their years of mismanagement and the animal cruelty. Our main priority for sure was always that the animal well-being. We were glad that the zoo closed, but still we're not entirely comfortable with the full immunity granted. After all this, we can take our key takeaways is that the transparency law and litigation is a powerful tool, especially when it's grounded in constitutional rights and had to do with public agency, because this is one of the main things here, that the zoo were from the government. So we were able to use this constitutional rights for them, against them. There were also, well, we found that the legal coordination between federal and state local levels were really key to break through this bureaucratic inertia, and that the animal law is enforceable. The legal strategy really matters, and it was shown in this zoo closure. So one of our best and happy endings with all of this was regarding Mundi. Mundi is an African elephant that was also in the zoo, and she became the face of the movement. She lived in solitary confinement. She suffered from arthritis because of the bad conditions of her cage. She had no specialized care. This condition became the symbolic of zoo neglects. And after years of all these public pressures and legal actions, Mundi was successfully relocated in 2023 to the Elephant Aid International Refuge in Georgia. And this was for sure a great victory, and we're so happy for her. This is a photo of Mundi before. This was her cage. You can see that the dirt in the floor she was standing was not proper for her legs. So this one of the main reasons she was suffering from arthritis. She was almost 40 years, and you can see the difference between her skin, the color of her skin, and the cage. And solitary, we will know that the elephants are animals that are better with other elephants, but she was always alone in her cage. And now she's in the refuge, and she's with other 2 elephants. She had never had the opportunity before, and she's way happy. Here you can look if you follow on YouTube, in a YouTube channel of Elephant Aid International, you will see that they're constantly doing live videos of the elephant. And this is one of the things that Mundi will never able to do in Puerto Rico. And now she loves the mud bath, and she's super happy. We're so glad that one of the best happy endings in all this fight with it. So this is it. So I'm so glad you took the time for hearing this story. So if you have any question, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer them.
Tanya. I could start out with a couple questions. I guess the first one would be, I know in our task force meetings this has come up, but have there been any lingering desires to like recreate a new zoo or like public demand of making sure that doesn't happen? And are there any like, I guess, community enforcement measures that are being taken into place to prevent that from being a possibility?
Yeah, so one of the things that the local government agrees in this agreement was that they will not do this again. And so right now there's no really I think that they want to do this all over, start a zoo again, but we have this problem with Cambalache. Cambalache is a detention center of animals that were also part of the agreement. But the difference between Cambalache and the zoo is that Cambalache is a detention center when the agencies take some wildlife animals that are not really legal to be here in Puerto Rico because it's not part of our nature. For example, all the snakes they're bringing, and they move it there. So right now we're trying to use the same strategies. We started a few of the document requests to know how are they treating those animals that are arriving to Cambalache, but it's not actually a zoo where the animals will be used for entertainment, for people go to see. So right now not, but we are always really, we will know if that happens for sure.
Carolyn, would you like to go?
Tanya, thank you. That was such an inspiring presentation. We all needed to hear some good news. I was wondering if you recall which division of the Department of Justice helped in this case, whether it was the Environment and Natural Resources Division or Criminal Division, because I know there have been some departures of some very effective attorneys in this arena, and it just concerns me that going forward, it's going to be more challenging to get assistance from DOJ.
Yeah, so as far as I know, is that was the criminal division in Puerto Rico, but I really don't know the name of the agent that were working. I can ask and send it to you, but it was from criminal for sure. It was a criminal part of the division because I think I forgot the name. It's not already still. It's not because it was in 2023. But for sure, I have to also say that my impression is that if we didn't have all this information, all the evidence, maybe it would take more time for them. Maybe they were just choosing something else. So because I know that there's so many things under their Department of Justice hands. So to being able to give them already process all this info was key because it was there. So it was the evidence was there, the negligence was there. So I will say that their investigation just took like 6 months, as far as I know.
The ENRD was also part of it too. Just to add on to that, I imagine it was probably a joint work between the criminal and the ENRD. And Jonathan Gottfried was the attorney within the Department of Justice that had a huge hand in making sure that there was resolution. Though I am sure that there are other attorneys involved too. But he was a really positive influence in that case.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a question. I'm wondering who got involved, or was there a conservatorship of some kind that managed the relocation of the animals? Sort of supervised that and made sure there was no corruption involved in buying or selling those animals in the wrong way, and also to make sure they were going to other humane sanctuaries or zoos or places, rather than just some sort of insider dealing between people who want animals for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, so the agreement talked about it. So you had to be approved by the federal agencies. So there were many locations because of the conditions of the animals. There's the Elephant Aid International that helped with Mundi. And I forgot, Jessica, can you remember what is the name of?
The one in Colorado.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the Wild Animal Sanctuary. I can't remember.
Sanctuary.
Yeah, it's the one that's got like the thousands of acres dedicated to it. I'm sorry, I keep blanking on the name too, but there are actually like videos of the executive director of that sanctuary coming down to Puerto Rico and like firsthand managing everything, and they were super dedicated and kind of, I think, Tanya, you'll know better, they took like most of the animals that they could.
Yes. Yes, I think he was the one. I have to look over his name. Amanda, do you remember him? So he really took it by heart because he moved. I think he had in the sanctuary the lions. The most of the animals were there, and if they couldn't move the animals because of if they were not vaccinated, because as you know, they were not given veterinary care, and they could not go overseas. They were the ones who look which other options in Puerto Rico they can move the animals. So he was one of the I think was one of the main persons who had he had the so the federal agencies, they already know that he was working, so everything he was doing, they were saying, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, and I think they even consulted to him with animals that wouldn't have been brought to a sanctuary as well, and he recommended locations. And I can't remember this, Tanya, but I think they even made more space and took in animals that they wouldn't have taken in normally.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They also did this links with other sanctuaries, so they were really into that. I'm asking the name because I cannot finish this without saying his name.
I
Yeah.
think it is Pat Craig. I think you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Pat
I think it
Craig.
is the Wild Animal Sanctuary in
Yes, it's
Colorado.
that one. Yeah, that one. Thank you.
So, is there any other questions? I'll just make a note that the work is still ongoing, and Tanya is still overseeing so many of the aftershocks of this. So and there's still so many other animals that need to be taken care of. But it was such an incredible feat that, at least from like ALDF's perspective and being on the outside, getting to see the way that like community bounded together, and it seemed like government actually crumbled under pressure because of community feedback, and it was so heartening to be able to actually see something that was so wrong and horrible to animals turn around because of like community direct action and outreach and protest, and the solutions and like experts in Puerto Rico being able to provide direction to that. So couldn't have done it without you, Tanya. Vínculo Animal.
No, with the organization. Will please follow our organization, Vínculo Animal Puerto Rico, on Instagram and Facebook. We're still working with wildlife animals in Puerto Rico. I think that in Puerto Rico, we have many problems with animals, especially with the ones that with cat and dogs in the street, but we are trying to specialize in wildlife animals. Now we're having the problem with the snakes, that we are having big snakes there shouldn't be in Puerto Rico with all this illegal traffic of animals. So we're working on that. But for sure, the closure of the zoo, we thought that I have to admit that for few years I thought that we weren't be able to actually move Mundi or close the zoo, but it happened. So always try to be legal creative also with what we have, what we can do. and try to, we learned that facility it's not enough to be, it's really clear that they were doing negligence with animals. It was, everybody knew it, everybody knows it, but we had to do more than we actually just calling the press and publishing. We had to do some legal work and help them to finish it, because I don't think, for sure, I don't think that if we haven't done that, maybe we're still, well, waiting for some prosecutor to take the case, but this is really complex. Not everybody wants to have their animals in a country that is on bankruptcy as a priority. So we're happy with this, and we're now with more energies to continue our work. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so glad to meet all of you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tania, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessica, and thank you, Tania, both for your excellent presentation and your insight into this situation and your good work and good works on behalf of all of these animals. We really appreciate that and appreciate you sharing that with us today. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.